90,000 development costs, since it's actually 9 million, because
9 million.
going back and referring and reviewing in the book, like the math doesn't work if the numbers are wrong.
And I won't show it to you because I don't want to out anybody. I've got a very long scrolling, and I mentioned it in the first section, scrolling Excel spreadsheet of errors and corrections. I can't catch them all, and I'm not going to say I can. That's just not my, my promise in the world. But that is another one to be added. But there is a long list. And let me just put it to you this way. You all notice that what I have on my slides is 4 pages different from what's in your slides.
Mm-hmm.
Now ask yourself why you're not your slides, excuse me, your books. Ask yourself why there's a 4-page gap in what you have versus what I have. Because of all of the corrections. And I'm telling you, I did my best to find as many as I could, but I sure can't find them all. So again, thank y'all, because there's still more to go. And I bet you anything, there's even more to be found. So anytime y'all see something, please let me know. And the best place to send it is not to stick it in the chat, but email me, because this chat will disappear once we end for the day. So with that said, just wanted to let you know that's where we were on that one. Now, one of the other things I wanted to let you know is we're going to need to talk about your capstone project because it's coming up in the next section. And I wanted to ask, so I'm looking on here and I see many people came through MetroTex, but how many of you are members of MetroTex? Can y'all help me with that? There's a reason I'm asking. Okay, so not as many as I thought. That means many of you signed up through MetroTex, but you're in other cities. Gotcha. That's gonna, okay. I am not.
Signed up.
Say it again.
I signed up because you were showing under HAR for this class. And I got a text because I was going to wait, because I had other classes, excuse my grandbaby, but I had other classes and I couldn't take it the first week of the month. So I got a text from one of the students in the first class that Miss Unger taught from, this class last week. And she's like, the other class is not in there. So I went on a hunt and I just happened to find it. I Googled and I just happened to find it. And I got in quick. It was actually cheaper too.
I emailed Ronnie because up to about 3 weeks ago, this tax 2 course section was in HAR catalog, but Ronnie said that HAR decided to take it off and cancel it from the HAR catalog because not many people signed up, like me, like also like Candace. I mean, we just all waited because our schedules are rolling, and HAR is expecting everybody to register like 6 weeks in advance, which that's not the case. I mean, everybody has their schedule, and I was going to register like last Friday, which is 3 days before the class starts, and now it's not on the schedule. So I followed it, and I followed up with Ronnie, and they said that they just took it off the course because not many people signed up for it. But that's
Ronnie
not what
originally
they
had
actually
the
saw.
other class. There's one that was a week before this one. They had that by a different instructor. Right. I couldn't make that week, so I had some other things. So I basically told Ronnie, I said, I need to do it this week. He goes, well, then sign up through somebody else. And he suggested Harvard or MTech, either one. He said, so I called up Vicky and she got me signed up through them.
Exactly. And this, Lord have mercy, there's so much that you all don't need to know about how classes are set up. But let me say this, there was a reason why I asked about who's a MetroTex member. It looks like you all, thank you for that. It looks like you all are members of MetroTex. It just turns out that you came in through MetroTex. And the reason I'm asking this is because when we do group projects, the goal was to put people in like cities next to each other in the same group. So when you did research for the buildings, you could search markets you were familiar with. Does that make sense, y'all? But not where you came from, that's going to be harder to do. So what I want to do is when we get together, not tomorrow, not Friday, but when we get back together in December, Even though you came in through MetroText, I'm gonna need to see the city that you're actually in. That way you're grouped up together with folks in your MSA. I can't have, Benjamin working with someone in a market he's never been in before because he won't be able to help in the project. So be aware that when this comes up, we're going to try to keep y'all in the same groupings in terms of your actual market. And then the other thing is you all can work together privately. So you're going to need to exchange information later when that comes up. Thank y'all so much for mentioning some things that I see people mentioning privately. I'm just going to continue to smile and keep all feelings to myself. Look at the smile on my face. All right. So with all that said, we're taking another break because we are going to end a little early today. I have to admit, I didn't linger on the math because I didn't think it was really worth lingering on the math. This is theory, not application today. There's no time for it. So take yourself another 10 to 15 minute break and we'll be done very shortly. We're not going to be in here until 5 o'clock. Aha, my friend. Mm-hmm. Let me put the time in there for you. Hold on, Raymond. I'll just put it in there for everybody. It's 2:25, so let's make it an even. 2:40 will give you your 15-minute break. There we go.
Mishka, I have a question for you about the IRR.
Yeah.
I posted a question in the chat. Will IRR always be better when it is a levered project?
I want to say that it might always be, but can I tell you this? You definitely need to run two formulas when you're looking at that. Hold on one second. Let me hit the send button because I didn't. Hold on.
Okay.
240, hold on, 240. There you go. All right, 2:40 p.m. will get you a 15-minute break. And thank you, Vicki, for the note and for my other person who said, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Internal rate of return and NOI, you can look at a couple of different things, but I would always run the variations to see which one gives you a better number. Recommending that you just do the one thing, not necessarily something I would do, but to Taryn's point, and even some of my old clients, there are some formulas some clients could care less about. Some people look at certain things and some people don't. I'm sorry.
So are you referencing that in reference to levered products or projects or not?
Yes, I am with regard to, somebody is putting some things in chat that I cannot respond to, and I'm gonna get her when I see her. Forgive me for that. You know who you are. Cut that out right now. So let me get back to who is that I'm speaking to because I can't even see.
Sandy.
Hey, Sandy, I apologize. Okay, so we're looking at internal rate of return for levered projects. And yes, I would. Yes, I would be calculating that. Hold on, let me see if I can pull something up for you. Let me catch note from Proctor. Oh, all right, never mind. All right. Okay, so you have a choice. NPV, internal rate of return. And if I was you, I would definitely be running both formulas to see which one comes up more favorably. Am I frozen? Or are you just being still? Okay.
I'm writing.
I'm sorry, I thought I had frozen. When I don't see movement, I think my camera has frozen. So you do need to check to see what both of them get you back, the NPV or the IRR, and see which one is better. And really, your client is going to drive the train on that. It was one of the conversations we'd had. Which one do they value more?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the internal rate of return or net present value? Which one do they want to look at? Because they are going to get you different figures, but they mean two different things. So a lot of times your clients drive that. And then you've got people like Taryn who will share with you that he can run every formula in the book and his client will say, thank you, but I want to do that anyway. Even though Taryn's formulas alongside the CPA will tell him your better move is to go this way, and his clients will still go that way.
Okay.
So
All
the
right.
best you do is you run your formulas, you have your spreadsheets, and let your client make a decision. And it's kind of like when you do your residential, not your estimated net proceeds, your CMAs. You can give a variety of ranges and you can run CMAs different ways. I run them 3 different ways. And I let people make a choice from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you do any residential at all?
I've only done residential since 2001, and I'm making the transition to commercial
Okay.
real estate. And I'm actually in the market, the job market right now, to actually go work for a developer or somebody that's in the development, or whether it be land or commercial real estate development, because I really want to learn from the ground up how they pull off these projects, because eventually my goal is to have my own commercial real estate and land development company.
There,
And
have
I'm,
you talked to Gerald?
no.
Well,
Oh,
there's a few people. Why did I say Gerald Hines? Not Gerald, Womack. I'm thinking of a bigger developer. Womack, have you spoken to Mr. Womack before? He developed a lot of the 3rd Ward area,
Wow.
HBREA, and he really benefited, I think, from the CRA when Chase moved into that neighborhood. Gerald Womack did a lot of development in 3rd Ward, all around like Yellowstone and Scott Street. A lot of the strip centers that you see that came in there that used to not historically be there, he put in, and he still continues to develop. Because getting into the larger development corporations it's not impossible, but it is difficult. It's challenging. Then we've got some other developers. Who am I trying to tell you? Hold on.
That's what I'm finding. Just, my goal, and I see that they require so much experience and so many things, but I really want to learn at the feet of someone. So I knew I was going to have to try to get in at a smaller organization, maybe that's still doing big things.
Yes, yeah, no, Gerald Womack is one of them. Why is this man's name escaping me? I'm gonna have to do a Facebook. So he's been around forever. Everybody knows him. Lord have mercy, his
Because revitalization is my passion.
Is
That's
it?
ultimately where I'm going, is revitalization. I was born and raised in Oak Cliff, and there's so many opportunities. There's so many things already coming, but there's still a lot that can be done.
Oh, and then there's our new local guy, and I shouldn't say new, but our young, up and coming, rising. What's the child? His name is Chris. What's Chris's name? Doggone it! Just because you asking, I can't draw no one's name. Hold on, I'm looking.
Okay. I appreciate it.
I got to go to social media if you can believe it. Just to find people's names. What is wrong with me? Okay, let me back this up. Are you familiar with a guy named Jay Bradley?
No.
Okay, so
No.
the people you might need to look up is Jay Bradley.
No.
And Jay Brad is working with an investor named Chris, but let me get you Chris's name. Jeez. Eee, I'm dying here. What is, okay, hold on. I know how I can find it. Because they just got featured in the Chronicle about 2 months ago in an article. I think that was called Buy Back the Block. Jay Bradley and Chris. Jesus, why can't I draw his name? And then I'll put Houston Chronicle.
Jay Bradley and Chris Senecal. Chris Senecal.
Senegal with a
Now,
G.
Chris, I've heard of.
There you go. Senegal. Thank you. I'm like drawing a total blank here. So Jay Bradley is the broker that worked with Chris Senegal for part of the redevelopment of the 3rd Ward area. There was a block that they literally purchased for redevelopment. So they're in the middle of that now, or I should say early phases of it. So that's one group, and there's
And I'm in Dallas.
okay, that doesn't mean you can't talk to, work with, Zoom meet,
Yeah.
There's still one more gentleman, senior, been around for a very long time, and I taught at his brokerage, and I can't think of his name to save my life. I'm going to remember it just for you, Sandy, because these people are definitely the smaller level folk. You're going to have to find a way, maybe coming in once a quarter and I don't know, doing some trade, doing some work with them or shadowing or something. I'm looking at Peggy. Get it done, Peggy. I don't blame her. She's multitasking. It's John something. Okay, it's hitting me. Hold on. Facebook, John. And his daughter, they're wonderful people. They've been around for a long time. He owns a brokerage, and I'm willing to say that many of these people do work in your area too. I don't think these folks are just here in Houston anymore. I do think they've grown. I can't find it. It's going to hit me the minute I get off the phone with you. But this gentleman's been around for a long time. We consider him one of our elders, so to speak, in the business in Houston. But he's been in commercial for a very, very long time. So let me get you in touch with him. And there's also, there's two more people I want to put you in touch with. And I think, is it Arvo or Advo? ARVO, I think, is the other corporation. ARVO. And Tiffany Ryder, I believe. Let me look up that last name. And I think it's spelled RYDER, but let me double check. Tiffany. Ryland, RILAND, RYLAND, Tiffany Ryland. And the company, I believe it's Arvo. Let me just double check what I'm saying. It is Arvo, ARVO Realty. And so they're also a brokerage here that specializes in commercial. Now, what I can't tell you for sure is if they're in development like Gerald is, but I know Gerald and Chris Senegal for sure are in development. Like you said, you want ground up. Mm-hmm. It'd be great resources. Go take some of your break.
Okay, thank you.
What is that gentleman's name? Okay. Okay, honey. Be careful. I'm almost through. Aww. Hey, John, was that you that remembered Senegal?
Yes.
Thank you so much. His name just boop, right out of my head.
I was actually doing concurrent searches along with you while you were speaking, and that's how I found the article for you faster.
Thank you, because I'm like, I know this guy's name. I don't know him personally. Jay Brad is my buddy, but he was involved in that that acquisition, and now they're going to be developing. Let me go back to Facebook. There's just one more company I want her to see. Now listen, John, if you can locate these right here, I'll give you all the answers to the test. You can give me all these right here. right, guys, we'll wrap it up in just a few minutes. I see a couple of you on the phone, but give you a minute to wrap that up. Stephen, you almost done, my friend? Okay, all right. Just making sure, just making sure. You got it done, my friend? Again, I do hope you guys appreciate the extra time. It's just to give up your whole week is just difficult, and I really do hope the extra breaks are being are helpful today. And we're still going to do that again tomorrow as well. And I did that on purpose. We put this class together quickly. And so there wasn't a lot of time to spread it out like we should have and could have. So we acknowledge that a solid 1 week class is really tight, and we won't probably be doing that in the future. They'll be broken up by a weekend, 2 days here, 2 days there. And even in February, it's 2 days, a week of a gap, and then another 2 days. So we won't be doing this all the time. This was definitely to get this out there and available for those of you who really wanted to get her done. I am putting a special message in the chat for you all to see. Take a look. That is for all of you today, for the past couple of days, and for those of you who really have been here hanging with me for, what are we on now? At six days now? I got to tell you, thank you, because again, it's tough to be the first, and all of the issues and typos and page numbers and formulas and charts and stuff, and even down to the pace of the class, cramming all the math over here, having no math over there. It's a lot, and a lot of things need to be refined. And so I just want to tell all of you thank you, because you have all literally been my co-teachers for the day. Or for the whole 6 days we've been together. So again, this is my kudos to you. I wish I could, send everybody a little gift card or something, but I ain't got that kind of money. I'm not selling $1 million buildings like some of you. I'm in here earning a teacher's salary. So now, there you go. Anyway, but now y'all have been invaluable, Ruth and Cheyenne and Chandra and Taryn. I swear I need to cut Taryn and Matthew checks. I need to give y'all a piece of my money, something, but for real, thank y'all. It's been fantastic. All right, so let me, oh, okay, got you. We got a baby on board notice, that's okay. So here we go. Let me get back down to where we were in our presentation, back to the petty fours and back to curriculum. And today looks like it's going to be an early day, just based on the pace, the information provided, and how it all played out today. So I think you're going to benefit from that. So right now we're looking at comparative market analysis. And we were just kind of talking about that briefly. And Sandy, I hope I didn't short your break time, my friend, since we talked so much.
No, I'm good.
You're all right? Okay.
Yeah.
Need to step away for a second. You earned it because you hung out with me. But agents are accustomed to giving clients their CMAs, and we can use that to estimate values based on comparable sales and listings, and with anticipated or expected or even desired sales prices. We don't know what we're going to get. But let's take a look at where we might be able to get some of that stuff from. Now, let me just tell you this. This is the short list. We're going to cover this in a lot more detail with a whole bunch more services in section 3. So this won't be the beginning and end of this conversation. As a matter of fact, I had our buddies in the commercial department of the Houston Association of Realtors put together about 6 or 7 slides showing you what Commercial Gateway is all about, because that'll be much more affordable than some of these things. But subscription services that can get you some commercial data. So REIS, Real Estate Information Services by Moody's Analytics. We have a member benefit that gets us a discount. And ask for Tiffany Wu, and it's just W-U, Tiffany Wu, and or at least anyone in the commercial department, and inquire about what it is you need to say or do. Because what I don't know is it a code, or do you just call someone and say, hey, I'm a Texas Realtors member? I have to admit, I don't know, but there is a member benefit that discounts that service for you. So take a look at it though. It's a massive database. And it goes across a lot of these areas that someone asked us about before. Take a look: retail, office, land. Guess what we all forgot? Self-storage. How about that as an industry? There's so many things in there: apartments and even student housing. Did anybody mention student housing before? I don't even know if that came up on our list, but there you go. So the platform is offered again by Texas Realtors Commercial Division. And there is a member benefit associated with it that'll get us a discount. And then there was the big dog stomping, CoStar. There you go. We're done with the class for the day. That's all we say, CoStar, we're finished. Everybody bow down and just let it be finished. Let me say this: if you're going to get with CoStar, you also need to be sure that you are in this for the long haul. This is expensive, but expensive is relative depending on what you do in commercial. Are you making enough money to pay the potentially $450 this might cost in the Houston market? It costs less than other markets, but it's a monthly fee and it can be looked at as expensive. So just make sure if you're going to do it, that it is something you're committed to and that you are earning that income. Benjamin, did you get a little sugar in there for the rest of us?
Oh, she's pretty stingy about it, but yeah.
That was the most precious face.
Sorry, she just woke up from her nap.
That's all right, Dad. You deserve a little baby face sugar at this time of the day. But just know that CoStar is an excellent place to go. So let me open the floor before I start singing CoStar's praises to anyone who has used it. And I don't care if what you have to say is good or bad. I would like for folks who've never seen the platform to hear what it was like for you all to use CoStar. Good or bad? What do you think about it? Because I like it.
Sandy here. In my first, I've listed my first building with CoStar. as a newbie. And what I like most about it is that they have an assigned account rep that oversees my account every month, the listing, make sure if there needs to be any updates. She calls me every month to check in, see if there are any needs. She just helped walk me through my first couple email marketing campaigns that they already have set up for you if you want to send a blast email out to their database. I did ask her for, I have postcards that I wanted to send to some of the area brokers. They don't provide that, but I tried. But they've been very helpful. And it's definitely gotten a lot of views, gotten me
Now,
seen
are
on a lot
you
of
on a paid
platforms.
subscription, or did you take advantage of the fact that you can list without being a member?
I did the paid membership because this just was a big enough deal. You know, this was a listing that was going to be 2.6 million. So I figured I had to pull out all the stops. I couldn't basically shortcut this one.
Amen. Good for you. Absolutely good for you. And I will tell you, though, that some people don't recognize that you can list on CoStar even without being a paid member. The drawbacks are you won't be able to see your listing. However, to Sandy's point, you will still get that one rep that works with you all the time. And like Sandy said, even if you're not a paid member, as long as you have an active listing, that person calls you like clockwork every single month. Has there been any update, change in price? Is something going on with your sale?
And their name, phone number, and contact information is the first things you see on your listing at all times in the top right corner. So I've called her directly at her direct line. And they're working from home, so I'm hitting the cell phone. It's like their cell phone number.
Yeah, it's pretty, I'm impressed that even with membership or without membership, you still get this wonderful level of customer service. Now, I'm not recommending you do this, but I'd also be remiss if I didn't tell you this. Even if you don't have a membership and you haven't paid, but you have listed a few things, because early on, I took advantage of this. But that rep that calls Sandy all the time, you start to develop a, hey, how you doing relationship, right? And Sandy, don't they always ask you, is there anything else I can do for you? Yeah, if you ask me, you darn right there is. Can you run some comps real quick? I got my comps.
They do that?
Yes. So I got some comps run because I had a relationship with my account rep even before I had membership. So I'm just saying, guys, it is a matter of your attitude and how you are with people. Because if your people game isn't that good, then you're not going to do so well here. But yes, Miss Sandy, my rep, ran a few comps for me back in the day. And for anyone who is in the Houston area, because I don't know what's in other markets, so Sandy and other people are going to have to tell me this. But in Houston, who's ever been to the CoStar offices? I know I've asked this before. Has anybody been to CoStar? You should take a field trip to CoStar. Grab a few buddies and go on in there for a meeting and have them run you through the platform. Grab the people in your brokerage, set an appointment, and sit down and let them show you how that thing works. The office is an impressive place to go see anyway, and it would help you to understand one of the more valuable tools. Thank you, Candace. She says you have not because you ask not, but they'll show you their cash flow analysis tool, which will also take into account all kinds of abatements and TIs and just all kinds of stuff. Inflation will be added in. There's a few glitches in the tools unless they've worked them out, because I don't see gross ups added in there, but you can get it in there. But that, let me put it up and put it up for you. Somebody's asking for that last slide. Hold on. They will walk you through their cash analysis tool, and I really, really like that tool. Sandy, have you used it yet?
No.
You should call.
I will.
You said you're in Dallas, you're in Houston?
I'm in Dallas.
See if they have an office and someone you can go sit next to and let them run you through that tool.
So cash analysis,
There was a cash flow analysis.
cash flow analysis. Okay,
Yes.
sure. Thank you.
Wonderful tool to literally plug and play. But it is for leases. So right now you want to do ground up development, that's different, but it was for leases. And what it would let you see very simply on the leasing side is what a transaction looked like for your tenant versus what it looked like for the landlord. So when a landlord doesn't accept your terms, you can at least see why they said no, or why they said, okay, I can give you this much in TIs if you reduce this or stretch out your term or something. It's a wonderful tool, and it's actually very simple to use. But the other one is, and we'll talk about this in depth later. Hi, Niquay. I haven't seen Niquay all day. There you go. Is Catalyst. And I think I spelled it wrong. I think it's CATYLIST. I think I spelled it wrong. But this is a service that's got several products, and Commercial Gateway is a platform that goes through Catalyst. Commercial Gateway is accessible through HAR. You have to sign up for it just like you do was it Matrix that we use as our residential system? You do have to pay a membership for it quarterly, just like you do the regular MLS. But Commercial Gateway is fighting tooth and nail to put more and more data in there every single day. I promise you, they're working on it. No, it is not as populated as CoStar, but if you've got to get a hold of something, they're getting there. So I'll show you all of that in the next class. Does anyone else use RPR? Because I am a fan. You use it, Sharon? I see Gail uses it. Let me poll the room. Has anyone tried the Evaluate tool yet? I see Candace has given me a thumbs up, and Sandy as well. What have you all done inside of RPR in the commercial side?
I have used it to see, to get the data points on consumer usage and gosh, I forget what it's called, but trying to figure out, how people are spending their money and where they're spending their money, and also using it to figure out what the gaps of services are for my town, which is Lancaster.
The trade area reports are pretty impressive. Yeah, I know exactly what you're speaking of. Someone else was going to add something to the conversation. Who was?
That was me. And what I was going to say, what you're saying, because I had an investor that it's a friend of mine. I know a lot of people from my old profession, but it's my current too, but he was out of state and he just wanted to do something because he has the money for it. And so he has property in this state, which is, like I said, Colorado, and it's a hot market right now. And I was able to tell him what business were oversaturated, who was able to get lending at that point. It tells you, like, just for instance, in the residential side too, if you're married, it tells you how many married people are in a certain population. Like, you don't want to go, if you're single looking for somebody, you don't want to go where it's a bunch of married couples and families. I'm just throwing it out there, but it was very helpful for business.
And also their net worth.
It gave a lot of information. Yes.
The highest concentrations of net worths of single men.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Look.
I'm sorry, I digress.
She's on the hunt.
Absolutely may not get into your evaluations. I swear to goodness, that's crazy.
So not only can you get to real estate, you can get a husband or a wife too.
But you know what? I don't know if I've shown this class before. Have I shown you all the offer memorandum that I'd put together for my gas station client? Because I think I did. Did I show it to you?
I don't remember that.
I'll have to show it to you because I did use RPR for that exact purpose. And oh, look at my hair all over the place. What I ended up doing was pulling a lot of trade area reports that showed that there weren't enough gas stations in this area, so that buying the gas station was not going to be a bad move. And it's a blue and beige report. I know exactly the one you're speaking of. And because I was selling a gas station, you could also see what kinds of cars people were driving, what kinds of households were there. Were there households of seniors or households of up and comers? Turns out at least 80-something%, I think, or no, I'm sorry, 57% of households were up and comers, meaning young children, married families, and people with children have to do what? They turn into chauffeurs. You're not parents anymore, you're chauffeurs. You drive everywhere. Practices, babysitting, the grocery store 16 times a month. That's all you do is drive all day long. But what that let the person buying the gas station know was 57% of that population was always in the car. Only 3% of the population was what they called golden years. And so, okay, so we don't have a neighborhood full of seniors who may not be driving much. But to their point, it's a wonderful tool. What else did you all like about RPR? Someone else's hand went up. I'd just like to make sure we get that out there. The Valuate tool. Someone mentioned the Valuate feature.
It's not the best for comps, but it's real good for data. It's very, very good for data. Now, CoStar is good for, your comps if you could afford it and stuff like that, and LoopNet, but for data, RPR is off the chain, and they actually have some comps on there now, though. They're adding to their database daily as well. And it's free if you are a hard member.
Absolutely. And all access to it right now. There is also an RPR app that works well on the phone for both residential as well as commercial. So there is an app for that available to you. And let me let you know now, some of the residential tools, even though we're in a commercial class, were amazing in the phone app. So you can go watch a lot of videos online. I was going to post a few in the class to share, just because you all are paying for it already. Let me just put the obvious out there. You paid for it already. So we're talking about all these other fees for other services. This one, you already put your money down. You might as well find out about it and go use it. And let me go ahead and put the slides back up for you guys. And we will cover this in a little bit more depth later. Here we go. But there's more to see. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see y'all's faces when we cover contracts. It's going to be a little bit of a snooze fest on that day. Take a look here. We're looking at zoning, ownership rights, permitted uses, and notes about zoning. Only cities have the right to adopt zoning ordinances in Texas. However, some cities in Texas have chosen not to implement zoning restrictions. But to Taryn's point earlier, it's not a, hey, the city doesn't have zoning, so we can do what we want to do situation. That's not true. So City of Houston does not have zoning, but it does regulate development within its corporate limits. City of Dallas, on the other hand, has a whole bunch of zoning regulations and standards in place. So what happens in one does not happen in all. This is what some of the zoning maps might look like in certain areas, just a little bit of a sample for you. And ownership rights and permitted uses. This is just another very colorful zoning map. And you can take a look at this one based on the color coding and the legend on the left. So what's public, what's low density residential, downtown commercial, etc. There was even industrial, light and heavy industrial in here. And
also some, like I've run into cities that do not have zoning, but they do have ordinances. So the ordinance almost translate into a kind of pseudo zoning, because it'll say you can't do this because of this. So it makes it that property you can or can't do it, even though there's not zoning on that particular property.
Yeah, we just covered that about 2 slides ago. That's how the city of Houston is set up. So there's no zoning proper, but there are ordinances you have to definitely abide by. So you can't just slap up what you want. But I hope you all remember that there are some issues that come with our no zoning situation. Who remembers the picture of, what was that? The crematorium next to that man's house? Chandra, were you in my class and we looked at some of these zoning issues?
I don't think so. I just know the city of Alvin in particular has a very long ordinance, but no zoning in the city proper.
I love Alvin. I've done a lot of work out there and I love them. They are the friendliest, best group of inspectors. ever. If you got to get something done, I got a good friend, Christine. She's not with him anymore, but if I need something answered, Christine's got it. But let me tell you, you missed it, Chandra. We got, was it Taco Cabana outside of this gentleman's living room window? He opens the door and boom, there's your drive-through. He could have ordered from the house and reached out and got his food. So yes, we have a lack of zoning. And even though we've got regulations in place, they're not foolproof. I say this again, Chandra, crematorium next door to people's homes. They step out of the house and what did they say their cars were covered with? Ashes. I'm not lying to you. Ashes. And that's, we're just gonna leave that there. RPR commercial forms, awesome. And let's see, your opinion about listing commercial on MLS since we have access to it. I'm not sure that's the highest and best use of our MLS. You can, but if you know that you can get it for free on the largest platform used, then definitely put it on CoStar. Absolutely. I have seen some listings in the MLS as commercial, and they have sat undisturbed with no movement, no change in status for 8-9 months because it's not seen there. People aren't looking there in the MLS for it. So if I was you, Gerald.
And you also want to be, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
You also want to make sure the owner wants that property listed because a lot of investors and in the commercial industry, they don't want it covered. we're off today.
No, that's okay. But I understand what you're saying. So I have seen, Gerald, there was a parcel of land in Pearland proper that a family asked me to come in and list because 3 out of 4 corners, gas stations, a Kroger grocery store. And I'm not going to tell you this intersection because I'm giving away too much detail. But a family, there were actually 2 families that held the last of the 4 corners. And they knew what they had was worth something. Again, Kroger on one corner, CVS on another corner, and I can't remember what was on the third. But they listed with a residential agent who had sold them their house. Asked her if she could do their listing to sell the land the house was on to commercial people. She put it in the regular MLS alongside houses. That thing sat there for about 9-10 months before I got called in. And I said, well, first of all, this might be an issue for you, not to mention, and we have not had this conversation, my friends. She put her small, what is that, 2 by 3.5 sign up on 10 acres of land. Who saw that? You can't see a residential sign on 10 acres of land. It was like, are you kidding me? I'm being facetious when I say 10 acres. It wasn't that big, but that ain't the point. When you drive past all that land and all that dirt and you think one of these here is going to get her done, it ain't. There are some tools you're going to have to invest in, and that even includes getting commercial signage. And yes, I pay for them big 8-foot signs. Posts got to get dug into the ground, set with concrete and everything. It comes with the business. So putting it in the MLS, to answer your question gently, is not recommended. Take advantage of CoStar. If you want to list on LoopNet, it will come with a monthly fee because I think they look for a yearly subscription to do so. But at least in that case, you'd have access to seeing it. Any other thoughts or comments about listing and zoning? Because we're about to round the corner on getting done, y'all. I heard something. I don't know what that was. All right, let's get back to our slides here. Many cities in Texas regulate air and subsurface as well as fee simple property rights. What do you all know about air in Texas? Got to ask you the question. How much of the air do you own? Do you know? There's an answer to this. How much of the air belongs to you? And I am talking about just fee simple ownership, not going into condos. How much air above your house or even your commercial development belongs to you? Do you know the answer to the question? Tricky. And it even surprised me. Let me just show you, see if the text covered it sufficiently for you. share, bam. And it's in your book for you. Air rights grant a property owner the right to use the air above the land without owning the land. Air rights are typically associated with cities like New York City, where land is scarce. So even if you don't own the land, you have the right to use the air above it. But in a case like ours, let me get to Texas. Come on, work with me. There we go. Now, let me just say this, and I don't mind pulling out things in the book that even confuse me, because I want to do more research on it and find out exactly what that means. And the book left me hanging as well. So it says air rights in Texas have been sold to resolve building encroachment issues, sky bridges, and overhangs. Okay, sold to whom? To what entity? And I was really looking for a solid answer on that. So if any of you is an air rights specialist, please speak now, because we could use your expertise.
I
But
can tell you all about air rights in New York City.
okay, know why New York?
I lived in New York for 20 years, and 9 of it I did commercial real estate. So
Ooh, you're coming back.
yeah.
I'm having you speak.
Air rights are sold often in New York.
Mhm.
There's very distinct zoning and development regulations. So you can pretty much look at any lot and know how tall, how big, how much of the footprint can cover the lot. So if you have a building on a lot that is a 4-story building, but they have the ability to build 10 and they have no desire to, they can sell the air rights for those additional 6 floors to a neighboring property. So only a neighbor can buy it. It can't be somebody across the street, can't be somebody down, in another borough. It has to be a neighboring property, and they can then translate those unused buildable
Stories.
to their lot to build taller.
Let me tell y'all something right there. What Chandra just said, let me tell you what she said in English. Yeah, what she said in English. What she said was stay in your lane. That's what she said, y'all. She said, stay in your lane. I heard what she said in English, and in my brain, I'm still going, now what now? Okay, now I comprehended what you said, but the truth.
We would actually market them. They go for about 50% of whatever the actual dirt developable number is. Sorry.
Gotcha. But that is extreme proof, and I love it. Stay in your lane, or everybody get Chandra's number and find out what the heck she's talking about. Seriously, because air rights are not something that I do, but I did find this material interesting in the book. So let me put it back up for you to see. Chandra, thank you for that interesting tidbit. So some sources say the laws regarding the use of airspace varies by state, and Texas has failed to take a definitive stand on air rights. Several Texas courts, however, have adopted a reasonable use test that states an owner's air rights, and this is where it gets a little clearer, only extend to the height of the property owner's existing and effective reasonable use of the land. So for those of you who thought, well, I own this house and all the air up into the clouds, no, you don't. Okay, up until reasonable use of the property. So you might have a satellite dish on top of your roof. I don't know why you would, but I'm just saying. Grandma used to have one of them weird antenna up on top of her roof. That would have been reasonable use for your property. The FAA owns the rest. Peggy, thank you. Miguel, that depends on what's on top of your roof. But yes, basically as high as you need to use your property, that's where your air rights are going. And again, Peggy, thank you for that, because the book didn't really fill in those gaps that it created with that information. And then Chandra, thank you for the New York edition. There we go. And then take a look at the turquoise here. We got just a little bit that's going to end up on your exam. So subsurface rights pertain to rights below the surface, and that's water and mineral and all kinds of stuff going on up under the ground, oil and natural gas. Texas landowners may or may not retain mineral rights when they're selling the property for development. It's a big issue, so big that you don't want to do this without the help of an attorney. I just don't recommend your first time out of the gate, you try to negotiate this one on your own. At the same time, if an attorney is brought in, get in close with this person and learn what it is they're doing. There's no sense in you not learning when you're working next to another professional on the same transaction. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Karen, I have a question. In Dallas, Fort Worth, we ran across this all the time. People were buying homes just to get mineral rights assigned to them and then selling the homes and keeping the mineral rights so they'd get monthly checks. Now in Houston, I have never seen anybody say anything about mineral rights. Does it not happen here, or am I just missing it?
Sharon, let me just say this. I've never been through anything like that, nor have I ever heard of anything like that. Now, let me just say that is certainly outside of my wheelhouse. Anyone in Dallas? I think we have Sandy is in Dallas. Sandy, what do you know about your market and what they're doing out there? Here she comes.
Well, I know that we still are able to, we're able to buy and sell mineral rights here. I'm not familiar with what they're doing in Houston, but that still is a thing here.
I have the answer regarding Dallas.
Come on, Benjamin.
So basically, when fracking was still happening before they decided it was causing earthquakes, it was a big popular thing. And one of my uncles even owned a piece of property out in Louisville, which is like kind of northwest Dallas. And it was something ridiculous, like $500 for the life, essentially, is what he got. And then after the fracking got basically squashed because it was causing all these earthquakes, nobody's getting paid anything. So it's now a worthless buy.
Interesting. And Raymond, he said Barnett Shale is under the Fort Worth side of the Metroplex. So interesting stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I had a buyer, a seller. We went to closing and she wanted to retain the mineral rights. Now this is when it was first starting. And she said, now I'm going to go put an oil well on my property because it was an acre of land after she sold it. And I said, you don't understand. You can't do that. You don't have surface rights. You have the mineral rights, which are underground. And it took us 4 hours and another man attorney, she wouldn't listen to the woman, another man attorney to come in and say, I'm sorry, you cannot put an oil well on a property you don't own.
Wow. And Raymond, by the way, I have been very remiss in telling you thank you as well for all of your contributions today. Raymond's not much of a talker, but he's sure fierce in that chat room. So thank you, Raymond, for your additions too. And now what the heck is Barnett Shale?
Where they do all the fracking.
Gotcha. Thank you. So Raymond's been very helpful with it. Thank you. Here he comes.
Barnett Shale is an area that extends from about Fort Worth over west, almost to Abilene. And it was very rich in natural gas. That's what they were going after, was the natural gas that lies beneath the major cities of Fort Worth, North Richland Hills, Colleyville. Those were very hot spots for natural gas. So there were people that would find a house that had been owned by mom and pop for 50 to 70 years, and they own the mineral rights. They would buy the house, retain the mineral rights for themselves, and then sell the property back to a developer because they didn't really care about the mineral rights. So that did happen quite a bit, but that was 15, 20 years ago when that was really going crazy back then.
Gotcha. First of all, I'm totally amazed and thank y'all for these contributions because that's not my wheelhouse. It's not even my part of the state. So thank you for that extra. And let's see, Ruth put something in the chat. Raquel says Mansfield, and Ruth says it's more so prevalent in rural communities to retain mineral rights and not so much in urban areas, lot and block versus meets and bounds. Ruth, can you expand on what you're saying here? Where's Ruth? Okay, I can't even find Ruth. I know she's up in here.
Hear me now?
There you go. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm a farm and ranch broker, and so it's more prevalent what I've seen for sellers to retain mineral rights where there's land. And so the surveys are set up as meets and bounds But if you go into the city, which are urban areas, you have lots of blocks. So you don't necessarily have a survey, you have what's known as a plat. So all residential homes and communities, developments, whether private, closed, gated. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little sketchy, but we're still making you out just fine. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All I was saying is that what I see is retaining mineral rights becomes a big issue when you're selling acreage. But when you have a lot and block in a small home in a neighborhood, you just convey whatever you own, if you own anything at all, with the sale of the house. Well, that's not the case when you're selling rural ranches, because the house may sell separately as well as the surface rights, but maybe the mineral rights may not convey with the sale of the property. It's very complex.
That's why I always refer them to the attorney, and I stay up out of there. But absolutely, I've got friends I actually refer all land sales to. I don't touch it. It's not my preferred area of comfort, but thank you, Ruth. Appreciate hearing from you today. Anybody else got any insight? Because again, I'm not in the Dallas market, so I wasn't familiar with it, but Sharon, it was an excellent question to put on the table.
I have a quick thing. I just did a deal of 254 acres in Damon, Texas, and was purchased by an investor who's doing a commercial development. So we wanted to find the mineral rights to make sure that there wasn't any encumbrances of somebody just showing up one day and putting a drill in the middle of a commercial development. So just a quick thing, usually in the title searches, they can find if those mineral rights have been sold off, but I will say you will get limited information. It'll probably show you the first transfer, and then there are companies that will then follow that transfer, because all it takes is for one person to die and leave it to 25 grandchildren. And that's why I know of a very good mineral rights attorney now, and some other companies that follow the trail of mineral rights.
Exactly.
Those, not my lane, go talk to all these other people.
Right. And I haven't heard that word in years, Raymond. He said, hire a landman to research the mineral rights. And I think Raquel came up right up behind you. Raquel, I know what you meant when you said sandman, my friend. We knew where you were at. I haven't heard that since school because I'd never deal with it. So let me get you all back. I hated and loved landman. Why did you hate this person, Cheyenne? I have to know now. What's up?
Oh, they can be a complete pain to deal with. Landman is, you're either loved or you're hated, depending on the time of day and what's going on in that area, I can tell you.
Okay, we'll remember that. If we need a recommendation, we'll come to you. Let me get you back up on the screen so we get to another nice, easy break. Make sure I don't lose you. If any of y'all fall asleep, I'm telling you now, cameras are coming out. Here we go. So we all got this one down for exam review. And zoning and rights. Fee simple interest are the most common type of deeded interest and convey to the owner all of the rights with the property. But you need to hire an attorney if you're going to make any assumption about what truly is yours. And I think everyone just proved that point. Don't assume what you're getting. You need to find out for sure, especially if something like mineral rights are important to you. If you're doing farm and ranch, who is that that's doing farm and ranch? We just spoke to her. Ruth, I can't even begin to fathom what you do for a living with timber and you know what I'm saying? And just land use and surface rights versus just all the surface leases. There's so much that you have going on in your neck of the woods. I would never, absolutely never.
These are work with a lot of attorneys. The highest number of members that I had in the transaction, as far as the seller side, was 13. And so there were 13 contracts sent out because everybody had to sign. But what I've added on the back end of the contract was a single page where the contract is very limited because it only has a spot for 2 signatures. But when you have more than 2 people involved in the transaction, you have to add a form at the back end, an addendum, which includes a signature of more parties to the contract.
13 people.
Yes.
I'm tapping out. That's straight referral. I'm not even doing it. Straight referral.
And I'm sure all of you know that, when you have that many people and some family members may not get along with others, you're really having to counsel.
Amen.
And, not having the family talk to other family members. I've been in very hostile situations where I've just had to be the go-between mediator between everyone. So our jobs can be very difficult.
You're absolutely correct. And you're a better woman than me because I absolutely terminated my relationship with a family that needed to sell a massive piece of land. But these people hated each other. Mom and dad are deceased, 6 siblings still standing. And I will say this to you and I will leave this story alone. 6 siblings standing, all over 60. And we are fooling around with this kind of, I don't like her and she did this. And when we were kids, really? Because you ain't seen a tricycle in at least a good, let me quit. Them people drove me bananas. And so Ruth, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And people are pissed because invariably there's the one family member who's kept up with all the taxes, right? Then there's the one family member that's been mowing the thing, right? Keeping the grass looking nice and whatnot, and making sure any public dumping has been removed. And so everybody now needs to be reimbursed for what they put into it. But other people who haven't done a thing won't equal shares. Excuse you? And so all that fighting, Ruth, you're a better woman than me because I had to tap out. We were fighting over who mowed the grass.
Mish, can I say on the 1 to 4 contract, there is a place if you need to reserve the mineral rights. There is an addendum that you actually use. I sold a property in where was it? Arlington, Grand Prairie. And generally the one that's selling it, they know whether or not they have mineral rights. And they are still getting paid for mineral rights. And on that addendum, you decide or you go through and you disclose how much of those mineral rights you actually want to reserve, or if you want to give them all away. And yeah, it's still happening today. And it's on the 1 to 4 contract under the addendums. It's one of them.
Can I tell you something scary that I just learned? I teach a class on hemp. Is anybody by any chance interested in hemp and what the state of Texas just did with hemp? Because I do teach a class that'll tell you what we're now legally able to do here. And so I had a lot of people that are in that class who can run rings around me with farm and ranch. It's not my wheelhouse. What I know is the state law when it comes to hemp farming and sales and what do you call it? CBD. So we're having this conversation about selling farmland so that you can, put seeds in there and sell any one of 73 approved varieties of hemp in Texas. But then we got to talking about surface leases. That brought up another level of stuff. And then came the thing that never occurred to me because I don't do this for a living. So my farm and ranch people, I need to look at my girl's face real quick because I want to see if she goes, and Ruth, I'm looking at you. But it never occurred to me all this time when I think farm and ranch, I put a picture in my head of literally a few silos, some tractors, maybe a chicken and a cow off in the corner somewhere. The actual house is on the property and we are working the land. The land's working for us. It never crossed my mind that nobody lives out there. And there are families that go out there and they've been working that land for years. Nobody lives on it. They've just been working it for years and have surface leased part of the property. And even the owners didn't realize what kind of agreements were in place with the people who were working the land. I'm like, wait, we got to deal with that too. And I've mentioned before the oral leases that are in y'all's crazy contracts, Ruth. I can't deal with it. It never crossed my mind.
The owner passes away, dad. And so the siblings don't know because it was a verbal lease in between dad with
the worker.
Tenant. Yes. And
yes.
We have to rely basically on what the tenant says. How long of a term did you all agree on? And then we just basically go from there, see if it's okay with the buyer for them to be okay and to honor that. And sometimes a property, a surface lease, sometimes the new owner has to wait a year until they can have full rights to the surface, just because of the verbal lease of, you know, someone who's now passed away and the new purchaser.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, this is about, guys, understanding that you need to call yourself a Ruth Garrett if it's not what you do, because like she said, the owner passes away. It never occurred to me that there are people who've been working this land for years because they had an oral agreement in place with someone and it wasn't written anywhere. And now the person that made it is deceased. And there's just so much to know. But let me get you all over to something someone mentioned earlier in the class. I heard it, I just don't know who said it. And that, or they wrote it, build to suit. Who mentioned that earlier in the chat? Someone did. In some areas of Texas, the land is leased to a developer for an extended term to develop a property on the land that is leased. Again, this might be called a ground lease. I don't know if we mentioned it earlier. I mentioned it in my other classes. And these things can run as long as 100 years. Why would anybody build on some dirt and not own the dirt? And it's an interesting theory I've got behind that. But has anybody ever seen these build to suit situations that say, if you don't want to have the responsibility of ownership down the line, just rent the ground, build the building, and walk away after 100 years? Someone help that make sense to people who've never heard it before. It makes sense to me, but why would anybody do this? Some of these leases are 50, 75, 100 years long. Why would we do this? Looking in the chat. Let me tell you who I know does a lot of this land leasing. A lot of these corporations don't want to get locked into neighborhoods after a certain amount of time, because neighborhoods, demographics, income, all that stuff changes. Now I own the dirt in an area that I can't even sell anymore. Exactly. Time is not necessarily on your side. So I'd rather go ahead and build this building. It'll be obsolete functionally anyway in 75 years. So I don't mind letting her all go. Now, there are parts of the Houston Galleria that are on land leases, believe it or not. I don't know who's cleaning up in that situation. And I don't know if those have been converted to sales, but there are parts of the Galleria Mall that were land leases. There are other people or other corporations now that do this instead of buying up these corners. Corners change. Let's see, what was STN? Peggy, what were you saying there?
Okay, so it's the single tenant triple net people that want those. And the reason why is because all they want to do is pay the lease and let somebody else worry about all the rest of it.
And there is definitely a worry about all the rest of it. And by the way, there's something else I need y'all to hear about. I'm gonna just put it out there. Has anybody heard of this? Let me put it in the chat. It's called a bondable, an absolute net lease. Has anybody worked with these? Has anybody ever seen one of these? Bondable, you have, Chandra? I'm telling these, let me tell y'all something. If you all are working with tenants and you get a hold of a lease, this is just side note, but it's important. Please take a look at repairs and maintenance. That list will tell you something. If your client is responsible for repairing the roof, parking lot, the foundation, there's a whole bunch of stuff tenants don't normally pick up. And if your tenant is picking up everything, you might have slipped into an absolute net lease where the person that is leasing this building, and it's typically a standalone, acts like they own the whole thing. You're not getting anything from the landlord to fix a blessed thing. So take a look at the repairs and maintenance section of your leases and be clear that the landlord is doing the structural, the roof, the foundation, you know what I'm saying? Things that should be common area, the landlord is doing. I've got a dentist now who was, Mish, take a look at my lease. And when I went to the lease and looked and I said, there's a reason why your landlord ain't fixing none of this. Because you said you would. He was blown away. He said, how do I get out of this? I said, you better find you an attorney. You sign that free and clear. So again, guys, check the repairs and maintenance. Chandra, you were nodding. Do you have a little something you want to put on it?
No, I'm just, it kind of goes to the last thing you said with the ground leases. I'm seeing now like Chick-fil-A's are being sold that are ground leases where they are, you're basically buying a piece of land that has a Chick-fil-A on it, and Chick-fil-A is going to handle absolutely everything on that property. Obviously the returns start out real small, but for long-term investments or something you want to leave your kids, like there's no thought or maintenance to that at all. That's mailbox money.
Hey, by the way, do you all know one of the last tenants I had was a Chick-fil-A. I had the privilege of talking to the owner. And at the time it was 2013. So things might've changed in 7 years, but do you know what the cash investment was to open you up a Chick-fil-A? Does anybody know? It's an astonishing number. You got it, Grant? I saw you putting some fingers up. $5,000. $5,000 was it. Now, if you've ever looked at a Shipley's, $400,000. These people look crazy. I don't know who sells that many donuts. I'm just saying, $400,000 to get a Shipley's, $5,000 to get a Chick-fil-A. But I will say
thought that the Chick-fil-A model was different.
that's what I'm
wasn't
saying.
an
Their
owner
model is
franchise, it was like an
absolutely
operator
set up
model.
differently. They don't let you own any of it. You cannot pass it along to a spouse. If you pass away, it goes right back to Chick-fil-A. And you don't purchase all the equipment and everything. Like Chandra was beginning to say, all that stuff is kind of given to you. You're running their business. You get profit share. But the initial investment was $5,000 and you are limited to owning 2 in a certain MSA. It's a very interesting model though. Min, what were you starting to say?
I was just saying that the Chick-fil-A was like an operator model where they take care of everything, and you just show some seriousness that you're committed to them, and that's what the $5,000 or $10,000 was for. And then you go through a lengthy application process. I heard that you gotta be in a certain type of religion or something like that. It's just restrictive. I mean, they have a very high standard of who they're gonna choose to become an operator. That's what I heard. I mean,
yeah, well, and I will say this, it takes a long time for them to approve certain people. That much I know for sure, and the list is lengthy. So is there really a personality test? Then I might not be for Chick-fil-A, honey. Let us move on. My waffle fries don't have enough salt. Well, sugar, get you a packet and move on. Next. Here we go. Population growth, whether a commercial real estate asset is intended for housing, hospitality, manufacturing, office, retail sales, people are a required component for revenue generation. And that's the truth. We need folks. We need folks to get back to work too, y'all. Population growth, aside from the obvious dating applications, Sandy over there outing herself. Demographic information about the local markets, including population growth, all that stuff is critical. And you do need to use whatever tools you have to let you know what's going on in your neighborhoods. Find out what the trends are. Are the neighborhoods aging? All that stuff's going to matter. Is it up and coming? Is this about families? Is this about seniors? What is it that's going on? Different interests, different property needs. So definitely pay attention to what the people are doing. So here we go, population growth. Here's some of the demographic consideration. We're concerned about the number of households in an area, and it's true. Age of the populations, the sex of the populations, the income, household size, level of education achieved, employment trends, housing starts, permits, price trends. Whoops, let me go back. Now, why would anybody care if this is men versus women in a neighborhood? Why would anybody care about that one? That one should have made a few of you freeze. Why would it matter? Amy said, I'm backing up on this. I ain't in this conversation. Why would it matter?
Women spend more than men.
Woo! What? You better say that. They're holding those purse strings and everything. Exactly. There may also be a women's hospital that wants to build in a certain area, right? If we got an up and coming area with a lot of women in it, that may be where we have the obstetrics center, et cetera. You never know what it is. So of course, sex of population may matter. Household size, again, employment trends, and the age of the populations. Interestingly enough, something that's going on in Missouri City. Who is familiar with Willow Ridge High School in Missouri City, Texas? Is anyone familiar with this school? It's in Most City, which is south of Houston. And that particular school has got a very negative reputation now. It had a great one when I attended it as a youngster. It's a negative reputation. But what's happening around Willow Ridge is this. Because of everything that goes on at that school with regard to how poorly some of the children are behaving, they're considering turning that thing into an alternative school. That's going to matter in the area if we're shipping in these kids that are going to be at an alternative school. Then there is the thought that they need to shut it down because of something I thought was interesting. The neighborhood is aging. There aren't that many kids anymore in the area. Do we even need a school? So now the district is considering repurposing the building. That's something a developer might want to know. Oh, so we don't even have a lot of kids in here. The neighborhood's gotten older. I mean, I'm 49 years old. Whatever they had in the neighborhood back in the day, I'm not even there anymore. So lots of things have changed. Uh-oh, when and where did I freeze? Is everything still comprehensible? Everything still okay? Awesome. And thank you for my note. I did see my note there. I saw my private note. Thank you very much. Let me get y'all back up on the screen, but all these things matter to different developers for very different reasons. You'd be shocked. Maybe you wouldn't. So mean versus median. Who knows the difference between the two? Come on, y'all. What's up with our mathematics skills? Who knows the difference between mean and median? Please don't make me go back to school. Go for it, Benjamin. What is it, my friend? Oh, what was it? Candace, Benjamin, either one of you take one and one of you take the other. Go for it.
I said Benjamin had his hand raised.
Oh, okay, cool.
come
Sorry,
on.
I thought you were going to answer it, so I was just staying quiet. So median is the actual average. Median is the number in the middle.
Gotcha. Okay. They both sounded like you said median, but let me see if this is what you meant. Mean and median. Hold on. Share a screen. I don't know why I took that down. I think I just wanted everybody to see your handsome face. Here we go. The difference is your median. It's the number in the middle. If you lined up numbers from high to low, literally line them up from high to low. The one in the middle is the median. You ever look at your MLS reports and run a CMA right there on the page with the listings that came up in your search? You'll see a median number often listed. It is purely the number in the middle, no formula needed. Your mean is the average of all the numbers you're looking at. You will add them up, then you'll divide by the total number of figures you added together. That's your mean. So your median is just your dead center number. That's it. Nothing special about it, but some folks look at it and go, what? Population growth for developers. Once highest and best use is established, comps can be selected. And when we're looking at the CMA, recent sales and active listings for similar properties can offer the best comparisons. But like me and Matthew said, because I got a big old head nod from Matthew earlier, sometimes it's not possible because of information not being available, first and foremost. And it might depend on where you are. Sometimes there's low sales activity. There might be a lack of similar properties in the area. It might not be as easy as you think it is for commercial. So especially if it's the only thing around for acres, you may not be able to find similar properties. According to the Appraisal Institute, please take a notation of the turquoise for your exam. To consider in physical characteristics to consider in your comps. Property rights being conveyed in the first place. Let's make sure we're conveying the same thing. Financing terms, conditions of the sale, the location, of course, physical characteristics, if we're looking at the building or at the land, use and zoning, non-realty components of value, It always drives me nuts. Free demographic data is always available at census.gov. Please take a note of census.gov. It's going to come up in your exam review. It's just where you can get some demographic data. Still a good place to go. I heard that. And with that said, with that exasperation, it's time for your last break. We're doing exam review and I'm cutting you loose. See you back here at 4 o'clock straight up. Hold your heads up just a little bit longer. We're almost at the finish line, y'all. Almost at the finish line. Come on. Let me see. Gotta put in the chat. To our proctors in the room, any proctors still able to respond to me? We're on the last section of the day, so it'll be time to send out evals soon.
On break, period. Do you
On
want-
break.
Question mark.
We're getting evals already?
No.
thought that-
This is me telling the proctors to be ready because we'll be sending the evals soon. We're going to do a course review and then they'll be able to send your evals out. But I have to take a chance when I'm trying to get in touch with proctors because they're in meetings and on the phone, so they don't always hear me.
But this course is till tomorrow and then we pick up on Friday, right?
Yes, you get your gap on Thursday because you all got to get some work done. Any proctors available? I don't know if they're.
This is Lindsay. I'm from South Padre.
Gotcha. Good. Just wanted to let you know when we come back, we're going to do exam review and then be done. Another slightly early day, but just wanted to give you a little heads up.
Okay, perfect. They all have the register or the evaluation forms in their email already.
You already sent them out. All right. Amazing.
Thank
I
you.
didn't want to disappear and not tell you something.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Who am I looking for? I am looking for. So after everybody got to see me sniggling and giggling on the phone here, let's get to it. Who's ready to call it a day? Hands in the air. Y'all ready to wrap it up? Get the heck on up out of Dodge. Come on, my friends. I always appreciate hanging out with you, but I also do want to get you some what's left of the business day. So how about we do that and see what you can salvage for this good Tuesday this week. I'm going to give myself some extra light. Jim Titus says, I'm going for a day. All right, we're going to call it a day, Mr. Titus. Let me just give myself a little more light. I got to admit, I've mentioned this multiple times, but I've got a cataract and I've got to get this taken care of. All right, so let's do exam review. Cheyenne, I love Cheyenne. So let's do some exam review from the first section of class. Going back over it again, I need you to yank out one calculator for one really very harmless formula. And the formula says this, I should say the question says something like this. Using the tenant's leased percentage of the building and using the gross leasable area formula, not the gross leased and occupied, just GLA, determine how much the CAM fees are going to be on a monthly basis. So the tenant has 6% of the building and the annual CAM expenses are $250,000. $250,000 in CAM fees, and they've got 6% of the building. And you can put it in the chat if you don't want to open your mic. All right, I see everybody got it. Benjamin is quick drawn to grow over there. All right, Benjamin, you're right. It is $1,250. For those of you who got the larger number, that was the annual number, not the monthly one. And let's see, Sandy, we knew you meant that zero back there, my friend. We knew you meant it. All right, CAM fees are also classified as what kind of fees? Hyphenated word? 2 words? Pass through, thank you. Okay, there we go, pass through fees. Let's see, triple net leases include what 3 types of expenses? What are the 3 expenses included in there? And so far, everybody's correct. I'm loving it. Benjamin, TIM, Kitan, extra prizes for CTI. Thank you. CAM taxes and insurance, CAM taxes and insurance. All right, y'all. Picking up some language there. And that was our friend Matthew that put the TIM in the mix. All right. That was new for me. Let's see. Single net leases would be what 2 elements in a single net lease? 2 elements, single net. What are they? And yeah, it's a trick question. There you go. Base rent and taxes. Base rent and taxes. Thank you very much. That's closer to what the question is really asking you for. Let's see. What is true regarding your commissions? They vary. That should just be it right there. They vary. Unlike residential, they are for leases are standardized throughout the industry. You know, that's not true. Brokers are only paid leasing commissions at the beginning and ending of a lease. I think not. I bet you not. And let's see. Brokers are never entitled to commissions on renewals. Hey, for our new folks in the room, it is more common in commercial to get a payment on a renewal than it is in residential. So I would at least ask for it up front while you're working on your commission contract. I wouldn't skip it. You might be actually able to get it. What's following? What of the following is true about a commercial real estate lease? Is it true that the statute of frauds is always in play? Is that true or false? That is a falsity. TREC requires the terms to be greater than 1 year. Is that true of a commercial real estate lease? Is that true that TREC requires lease terms greater than a year? That is false as well. Is it true that they must always be in writing? Consider everything we talked about today. Must they always be in writing? That is a falsity. No. The question, and this is a trick question, but it says, what's true about a commercial real estate lease? And we did discuss today that some of these leases are oral, they're verbal. So the truth here is that, let's see, which of the following is true about commercial real estate leases? And I did share with you that, and watch me when I say, for the purposes of this exam, your better choice was that they must be for a period greater than a year and in writing to be considered enforceable. That was your better choice. So they need to be longer than a year and in writing to be considered enforceable. Strangely enough, that is a part of the statute of frauds. Just the way the question is written, it would throw you a little bit. So be sure to read that one in slow motion when you read it. Let's see what else I need to ask you. I think you guys got everything there. Your client's monthly base rent is determined, and I'm going to give you a few methods. You tell me which method or methods can be used. Can we look at the annual rental rate per square foot, multiply that by the amount of space we're leasing, and divide by 12? Can we look at the monthly rental rate per square foot and multiply that by the amount of space being leased out? Or do we look at pro rata share of lease space and multiply that by the average building rental rate? Which of those methods can we use? Let me see in the chat there. A and B. Chandra caught it. Let me throw it at you one more time so you can catch it when you see it in the future. A, many of you heard, and A said annual rental rates per square foot multiplied by the square footage you're leasing divided by 12 months. So that still will get you a monthly rate. Even though we started with the annual rate, we divided by 12. So that bumped us back down to a monthly. And another one of your choices just says straight up, you take the monthly rate, multiply it by your square footage. So again, read in slow motion. The answer is right there in your face. All right, let's see. What is considered a rent abatement? I'm gonna read you a few choices. You let me know what's considered a rent abatement. Are we looking at reduced base rent? Are we looking at TIs? And that's going to be paid by the tenant, as a matter of fact. The TIs are being paid back by the tenant, or moving expenses. Are we giving allowance for moving expenses? So of those three things, which ones are considered rent abatements? A and C, absolutely. The reduced base rent and moving expenses. Let's see, what's true of a sublet? Let me just ask you based on substance alone. What is true of a subletter's agreement? What do you all remember that's true? Who is the agreement between? I'll help you with that. Who is the agreement between? The tenant and the third party. Absolutely. The tenant and the sublet. Yes. Expansion rights. That provision is commonly associated with what right? This is right you have to ask for. There you go. First refusal. Absolutely. Come here, little puppy. Let me get you. All right. Sorry, I got a buddy who's bugging me now. Okay. Let's see. No, we did that. When determining the effective rental rate for a building, and we're using the average monthly rate method, what consideration is missing when we get our answer? What thing didn't get considered when all we did was average out the monthly rate? There you go. Time value of money. There you go. Time value of money. I see y'all are getting real good at this abbreviating things. Time value of money. Absolutely. I love it. Now, we're going to try again. Don't y'all be mad at me. We're going to try again, okay? We glitched. We were in the matrix yesterday. We'll try one more time and see if technology acts right. I think I got her up and running the way she should. Let's try our poll everywhere. Again, you do have to get a new poll everywhere. So send that text message back out. would be my Chihuahua.
She got my Yorkie going off.
All right, so did everybody get a brand new, fresh poll everywhere text message back in? We're gonna try because I did a test during lunch. It worked then. It's worked a million times before. Let's see what happens today. Ah, your alphabets are up, thank goodness. So this is today's stuff. Let you read and answer, read and answer. He is still screaming. All right, waiting for us to fill up the answers. We get a limitation on how many people can answer. Uh-oh, and our correct answer was they could partner with an equity investor for 35%, and then they can personally fund what remained. So there you go. I see a few people fluctuating, but 86% of you hit it on the head there. Let's get you to the next one. Give everybody a minute to think about it, change their minds. Let's see if we locked out. Every now and then it will tell us we've locked out because there's a maximum number of responses. All right. And many of you got it correct there. An A&D loan. This is for buying the land and developing it. And it makes a lot of sense. Acquiring and developing, acquisitions and development. So your clue is in your answer there. Let's hit the next one. And take your time. I'm not going to rush you through this. This is just what it's like to sit there alone and take your exam. All right, let's give everybody a chance to keep going for it. Not true. So the lender's getting paid first, not the equity partner. Lenders first, then other people get in line. And let me just tell you, on your exam, all those choices are something that looks like these because these are not exact ripoffs from the exam. But I will tell you that the actual exam question is written in such a way where if you breeze by too quickly, you'll miss this. So this is not the way it's written, but it is written in a similar fashion. So ask yourself, does this person get paid before that person? And the equity partner is not getting paid unless somebody said something else. Otherwise, the lender's getting paid first. And Benjamin, I appreciate you, but do me a favor, don't photograph these. I appreciate all of you, but don't do that. Yeah. What kind of an agreement can help mitigate? Let me get that out of the way. A developer's risk. I always like to say I can just send my mama in the room and let her wag her finger. She'll scare anybody. Well, let's see what the best answer was. An option agreement listing certain conditions. That gave us a purchase agreement implies we just buying something. We purchase it. Development agreement just says we're developing. But that option agreement, that's your world. You know what I'm saying? That's y'all's world. Y'all know all about, and I don't mean all of you, but many of you in the residential world, you know that option lets you get the heck out if you need to. So remember that one word there. The purchase agreement without commissions, it's definitely not it. That means we're in an agreement to purchase. And you want to be able to mitigate your risk, which is reduce your risk. So an option agreement with certain conditions that must be met. No, absolutely not. What? We got a wise guy in the room. There we go. Absolutely not. I can already tell some of you retained some information, but it was for a different right. There we go. Are all owned by the state. That was for something different, but right now excluded in may be excluded in land sales. They may be excluded. It's not a firm, they will be. Waiting on the answers to lock up there. All of the above can be factors. And I know many of you hit functional obsolescence the second you saw it, but I noticed everyone's minds kind of kicked in when they read everything else. All of that's probably true about land, something that's been sitting for 75 years. So functional obsolescence, certainly if the thing looks like the Brady Bunch house, we got some outdated design developments. Economic obsolescence might come with it as well. So all of the above was your best choice there. All right, I like that. Nice slow stroll to the finish. And it won't let me hit the check mark, but yes, you all got it. That's exactly what we need to consider. Everything that's going on, guys. Interesting. We're looking at all of this. How much did we put into it in the first place? How much did our equity investors put into it? How long is it going to take to lease this bad boy up? And what are we looking at selling it for? Because the feasibility looked at what we put in versus what we're going to get out at reversion. So all of the above was your best choice there. Now, in your book, again, 23 may not be the number. So it may be as late as page 27 in your book if you go looking this up. But the highest IRR usually goes to who? Ta-da! The developer. There we go. Many of you got it right because we didn't spend time talking about it. What types of trends should developers consider for retail, multifamily, and even office properties? What kinds of things should they be considering? Now, see, if I'd have put in there shoe size, you all would have just been wrong. Just wrong. I saw all of y'all jump straight to all of the above. I should have put something funny up in there. Yes. I'll just be ashamed of yourselves running straight for the all of the above. I'm gonna put some trickery in there one of these days. You know that? All right, now this is not the easiest thing to see, and this is the little hazard of poll everywhere, but I want you to glance at it to the best of your ability and tell me what the median number is. Okay, so maybe it wasn't that hard to see. I don't know. Okay, now I'm convinced people are just mashing alphabets and hitting the send button. Just convinced? Y'all aren't even reading at this point. The median number is the one in the middle. Dag nabbit, you count dollar signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the one in the middle is what? Come on, y'all. I want the median number, and that's actually the check mark is in the wrong place. The median number is, y'all are correct. If you hit A, you're correct. The check mark should have been up here where 60% of you guessed the right number. The median is the one in the middle. It's 24,505. So never mind that little silly check mark. That's in the wrong place. 62% of you got it right. The median is in the middle. And that was it. So how'd you do by yourself and nobody reading to you? You did all right? See, now this was a long day. Gotta admit, it was a long day, but Benjamin says I missed one. And yes, Miguel, I had a glitch. We glitched. I'll fix it though. No worries there. But that's what it's going to be like. This exam is considerably less stressful than the one that you took in the first section of the class. So you guys are going to be just fine when that day comes. With that, it's
on that median number, the median number was actually 24,000.
not the mean, the median, the one in the middle.
Because the median, it's the one in the middle of the values, right? So the values.
The one in the middle of the line.
Is it the middle of the line or the middle of the values?
No, the middle of the line.
Okay, then it's right.
Just line them on up right there in the middle. Pop. But again, my check mark did hit the wrong one. It should have been where everybody, about 60% of y'all had it correct. So there you go. But with all that, and y'all know what the median is when you're driving, right? It's the what? Middle of the road. Every now and then I got to do little simple things like that to help me remember, but I bet y'all you think about driving down the street when you see that question come up. So with all that said, just be sure to, right? Look at them. So be sure to email me your observations. Let me just go ahead and put my information up to here. You line them up low to high, high to low, whatever that number is in the middle, that's the one we're talking about.
That was my question, Mish, because they weren't lined up in order.
I thought they were in order. Let me go back. Let's look at that together. Because if I'm dyslexic, I've told y'all about my cataract. Oh,
I came up with 24,000 as well if you lined them up highest to lowest.
Thank you so much. That means my cataract is stricken. That's a question I got to fix. So did you, and I thought it was lined up high to low. Did I not do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're not. Well, I'll be dang darn. Well, let's do it together. Who went ahead and lined them up? Did anybody line them up? I did. I'm tricking y'all so hard. I'm tricking myself. Now I ought to be just ashamed of myself. I should. Somebody line them. Let me put it back up there. Hold on. Let me put it back up on the screen. You know, part of my charm is I can admit when I do something wrong. I'm not ashamed to say it, y'all. Okay, so let's line them up. Who's got the paper and the pen? Who already did it? Because someone did it already. Somebody says, Mish, that was a trick. It was, Raymond. And I done tricked myself. So it was 24. Look at there. I ought to be ashamed of myself. And I am. So for all of my teachers, my co-teachers today, I've been saying this since we started. Thank you. Gold star for whoever caught that. I know that's right, Sandy. Let's see, Amy lined them up. So it's 24,000 right down the middle. Amy gets a gold star too. Y'all are so fun. Awesome stuff. Thank you. I don't know how y'all type that fast in the chat. Y'all are just ridiculous with it. With all that said though, let me get off of that, put this back up. Any observations, things you want to share, you can either email me, put it in your eval. Either one is just great. But don't forget, it all goes to the top so we can make this better for future classes. It is 4:26. Y'all go have a wonderful rest of your day.
Mish, I have a question.
I'm gonna hang out for you. I'm right here. Bye, y'all.
Why are we doing the survey today instead of tomorrow?
I think you get one daily, I think.
No.
Oh, really? Because the GRI does it now on the 4th day only. So is that how they're doing it here?
We, on the first class, we got it at the end of the class. after the test.
Gregory Lang let us know to only administer at the end of class, like the last day of class.
You know what, y'all? Things change, and I appreciate you updating me because it used to be a daily thing. And I have heard that some of the classes are just going to, can we just go to the 4th day? So you do what your proctors told you to do in the emails.
I just want to make sure we're here tomorrow, 8:30 to 5.
You're here tomorrow, off on Thursday, see you on Friday, and that'll be about it, y'all. Enjoy the second half of your 4 o'clock hour. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Gwen. Bye, everybody. Bye, Santosh. Bye, Gerald. Love your questions as always. Bye, Miguel. Bye, Joe. See y'all later. Chandra, I got to pay you too, my friend. Bye, y'all. You have a good one. I appreciate you.